The crowd froze in shock. Justin Ford, the school's biggest bully, was lying on the ring, wheezing in defeat. And standing over him was Lucas Bailey, the one everyone thought was a weakling. How did this even happen? But what happened next surprised everyone even more. The echoing thuds of sneakers against the tiled floor blended with the noise of voices, the slam of doors, and the dull thumps of backpacks hitting backs. Just an ordinary school day. Just the usual hallway noise. But at that moment, something changed. A loud laugh cut through the commotion. "Hey, weakling, what are you even doing in this school?" A mocking voice drawled. Lucas didn't even have time to turn before a sharp shove sent him stumbling backward. His back crashed into a metal locker, and a dull pain spread through his body. His books slipped from his hands, disheveled papers scattered across the floor, and his glasses slid down to the tip of his nose. The laughter in the crowd grew even louder. Standing in front of him, smirking, was Justin Ford, the school's star, captain of the football team, coach's favorite, and the worst nightmare of anyone outside his circle of chosen ones. "Look, guys, our Bailey forgot once again that he doesn't belong here." Justin leaned forward, grabbing Lucas by the collar of his shirt like a toy about to be tossed aside. Students gathered around, some whispering mockingly, some watching indifferently, and some just waiting to see how it would end. No one stepped in. Lucas said nothing. He was used to this. He didn't resist, didn't ask them to stop, didn't talk back. He just lowered his eyes, watching his textbooks lying on the dirty floor. His fingers curled into a fist, but he didn't let himself clench it too tightly. Showing anger would be a mistake. Anger was weakness, and weakness would only make Justin madder. So he waited for it to be over. Lucas Bailey was the kind of person no one noticed, until there was a reason to make fun of him. Short, too skinny, always slouching, giant glasses that only made him look weaker. He seemed born to be a victim. Even his walk suggested he was trying not to attract attention. Justin and his crew loved guys like him. Bullying Lucas reinforced their status, proved who was in charge, and it never caused any problems. Because Lucas never fought back. But no one knew his secret. Every day at school, he played the role of a pathetic, invisible, weak boy. But at night, when the house fell silent, Lucas became someone else. In the garage, where his father used to store old things, there was a battered, worn-out punching bag. That was where Lucas spent his nights. He studied fighters' movements from old tournament recordings, memorized their combinations, then repeated the punches for hours, over and over, until his knuckles bled, until his body refused to move, until only one thought remained, just one more hit. But no one knew. Once, he finally built up the courage to approach the school's wrestling coach. It was a chance. Small, but a chance to change everything. "I want to try out for the team," he said, standing in front of a broad-shouldered man who didn't even look up at him. The coach let out a small chuckle. "You?" There was a hint of amusement in his voice. "Kid, you'd break if someone so much as breathed on you." Lucas clenched his fists. "Give me a chance." The coach didn't look away from his papers, lazily scanning the list of participants. "You're too weak," he said flatly, not even sparing Lucas a glance. That was it. The decision was made in a second. Lucas nodded, turned around, and walked out without another word. He didn't argue. He just went back to the garage and kept training. The school buzzed. Rumors spread instantly. A martial arts tournament. Anyone could sign up. On a regular day, no one would have even noticed Lucas. His presence was like background noise, something people ignored. But when he stepped up to the sign-up sheet, the hallway went unusually quiet. His fingers trembled slightly as he picked up the pen. A familiar figure was already there. Justin Ford, smirking as he underlined his name in bold strokes. "I'll show everyone who the real fighter is," he declared, slapping his shoulder and glancing at his classmates. Laughter. Playful jabs. His entourage immediately started discussing how quickly he would crush anyone who dared stand in his way. Lucas exhaled and, without a word, signed his name. "You? In the ring?" A pause. 1 second of stunned silence. Then the first burst of laughter. "Wait, Lucas? Did he actually sign up?" Someone drawled from the back. "Dude, you can't even walk down the stairs without getting bruised." Another choked out between fits of laughter. The hallway erupted, as if someone had pressed a button. Lucas didn't react. "They don't know," he told himself. "Let them not know." Even the coach, the man who had trained the school's best athletes for years, looked at him with clear skepticism. "You sure about this?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Lucas nodded. The coach didn't stop him. He just sighed and muttered, "I hope you know what you're getting into." The day of the tournament. The gym was packed. Spectators filled the bleachers while the fighters warmed up near the ring. Fists pounded into training pads, knuckles cracked. Some stretched their necks, others bounced on their feet. The air smelled of sweat, adrenaline, and tension. Lucas stood at the edge of the mat. Calm. Inside him, there was no fear, no anger, no resentment. Only cold calculation. When his first match was announced, the crowd stirred. Jason Miller, one of the toughest wrestlers on the team. Powerful, confident, intimidating. He didn't even take Lucas seriously, just smirked, rolled his neck, and got into his stance. "This is going to be painful to watch." The signal rang. Jason lunged forward, expecting to end the fight immediately. He had already imagined his fist slamming into that scrawny body, Lucas crumpling to the ground, the referee stepping in. But then, something strange happened. Lucas dodged. Not just a retreat. His movement was precise, sharp, predictable, but not by Jason. Before Jason could process it, he threw another punch. Another miss. The crowd quieted slightly. Another strike. Another miss. Lucas moved effortlessly, like he was dancing. He saw the attack before it even began. Jason grew frustrated. He charged in for a grapple, aiming to end the fight with one decisive move, but then, snap. Lucas caught his arm mid-motion. In a fraction of a second, he twisted his body, using Jason's own momentum against him, and sent him crashing onto the mat. It happened too fast. Jason hit the ground. The referee moved in. Lucas had him locked in a hold. The crowd froze. Someone exhaled, hoarse and uncertain. Was that an accident? Lucas slowly rose to his feet. He brushed invisible dust off his uniform. No, that was no accident. One fight. Then another, and another. Lucas stepped into the ring, and won again. He never struck first. He waited for his opponent to make a mistake. He read movements, anticipated swings, spotted weaknesses. He moved faster than they expected. Every time he stood tall after another victory, the crowd held its breath. Not long ago, they had laughed at him. Now, they watched with respect. When the final match was announced, the entire gym seemed to hold still. Lucas versus Justin Ford. The crowd roared. The captain of the football team, the crowd favorite, the arrogant leader. He could not afford to lose. Before the fight, he stepped up close, his voice low and filled with anger. "You won't survive this." But Lucas was no longer afraid. The referee raised his hand, paused, gave the signal. Justin lunged forward, aggressive, brutal, reckless. Lucas saw it in his eyes. Fear. Justin wasn't holding back because, for the first time, he was fighting someone he couldn't humiliate. The first punch missed. The second, Lucas dodged with ease. The third, nothing but air. Justin charged, desperate to grab Lucas. And that was his biggest mistake. A sharp elbow to the ribs, quick, precise, unwavering. Justin staggered. A swift leg sweep, clean, ruthless. His footing was gone. Lucas didn't let him fall and recover. A perfect hold, instant control. 1, 2, 3. Silence. Justin let out a strangled gasp. He was tapping out. Cheers. Hands clapping. Feet stomping. The crowd couldn't believe it. Those who had laughed before were now applauding. Lucas rose, looking down at Justin. He was gasping for breath, his eyes darting around, searching for an excuse. There was none. Lucas was no longer a victim. Now everyone knew the truth. The gym was engulfed in heavy silence. Everyone who had laughed at Lucas just moments ago now stared at him, eyes wide with shock. This wasn't just the final fight. This was a complete paradigm shift. Everything they thought they knew about Lucas Bailey had been shattered. He wasn't weak. He wasn't a victim. He wasn't who they believed him to be. At first, the applause was hesitant, but then it swelled, filling the entire room. Justin lay on the mat, his chest rising and falling in ragged breaths. He couldn't believe what had happened. Him, the king of the school, the team captain, the one everyone feared, defeated in front of hundreds of people. He saw the way they looked at him. This wasn't just a loss. This was the moment he finally understood what his victims had felt, what it was like to be weaker, to have the crowd watch but not help, to be the target of silent judgment. But this time no one laughed, because they weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking at Lucas. Lucas stood up. He didn't celebrate, didn't throw his fist in the air, didn't smile, didn't turn to the crowd for recognition. He didn't need to. It was already his. He simply cast one last glance at Justin, not with hatred, not with triumph, just a farewell. Then he turned and calmly stepped out of the ring. He had nothing left to prove. The crowd parted before him, as if making way for someone whose name would become legend in their school. And every single one of them understood. The boy they had mocked had become an unbeatable fighter.